Hi, this is Greg Johnson with Blue Book Services, and this is our latest edition of Online Produce Shopping, The Path Forward, which is a series that we're doing in partnership with Category Partners. I'm joined today by Tom Barnes and Cara Ammon with Category Partners, and also Joe Vargas with FirstFruits Marketing. What we focused on this issue was what are the demographics that the survey showed tend to be higher buyers of produce online, and what can we learn from that, and what can retailers do to take advantage of that information? So I'll start off by saying, when we've looked at the data, what kind of things jumped out at us and surprised us about it? Do you have some thoughts on that, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I just want to say thank you again for doing another segment with us, and also Joe from FirstFruits Marketing joining us. I'm appreciative of his time, and this has been a lot of fun. So hopefully we can keep going, and these are useful. Greg, thank you for that question. A lot of what we found was not very surprising. It actually went right along with what we assumed was correct. The why, for instance, of why people are online shopping. The number two answers were convenience and speed. And of course, when COVID hit, that became a third answer pretty quick. And so obviously that was something that we knew was going to come up. Also on the demographics, we kind of figured that those with children would be online more often than not. My own family, we have quite a few children, and so my wife was an early adopter of online shopping and pickup, and it's been wonderful for her. So that obviously made a lot of sense. But when we started looking at the demographics of gender, that's where we kind of got an eyebrow raise, because 32% of women shop online and 52% of men, which was not expected at all. And so because of that, when we're thinking about the demographics and how we normally merchandise and market, I remember back in working with Walmart, we would get the buyers talking about the shopper, and they would always call her, the shopper, a female, and that's not the case. And especially when we start to look at the online shopper, we need to make sure that we're looking at the entire demographic and not just doing what we used to do back in the old days.
Yeah, I thought the male versus female is certainly interesting, and I think will lead to some maybe different marketing avenues. And of course, the children, that's a huge factor. Cara, what kind of numbers are we really talking about when we talk about households with children being more likely to buy produce online?
Sure, that's a good question. And that's also interesting, not surprising, but it is interesting. So 69% of families with children in the house shop online. And when you compare that to 23% of consumers without children who shop online, then you really see the contrast there. So I think that's pretty significant. And also interesting is that 69% of consumers in the 25 to 44 age group report shopping online. And that makes sense, right? Because people in that age group tend to have kids in the home. And so I think that all falls in line. And why they do that also makes sense. So people in that 25 to 44 age group have really grown up with technology, and they're very comfortable shopping online. So it just makes sense that they would also shop for groceries online. And then the other factor, I think, is convenience. Parents are often very busy, very time starved. And so shopping online is an easier way to, get those chores done. And I think especially for the parents with the young children, it's just much easier to get online than to, pack up two toddlers and go to the grocery store. So all of those factors make e-commerce a serious option for these consumers. And as marketers, we need to look at all these different forces and, as we develop our products and messages and really give consumers what they need.
Well, Joe, that leads me to my next question, and that's, as a produce marketer yourself, seeing what we're seeing from the demographics, what kind of products and techniques does that jump out to you that would be more effective in that channel?
Yeah, and at FirstFruits, that's a question we've been asking a lot, and a big reason we went into some of this research and development with category partners. And first and foremost, we start out with conduct the research, understand what's happening out there in the e-commerce. So the display and praise strategy is just relying on chance. This is especially true when we're talking about a commodity, such as apples, pears, cherries. Our competitors selling Fuji's or Bartlett pear, they're doing the same things we are. So we have to think outside the box to meet market demands. We can just experiment with different pack sizes, things of that nature. But really, it's it's coming down to what the consumer wants. So, looking and conducting the research today, we look for ways to apply, what we're doing across the organization. We're developing new proprietary varieties. We're beginning with the end consumer in mind. And that's, we're looking at how that messaging is going across, how we're, merchandising our different products and different packages, and everything that we do, our go-to-market strategy all relies on or is influenced by, these things.
So Joe, it seems like a little over a year from now, as things were changing so quickly and the markets were changing and online grocery was really starting to pick up, a lot of people were scrambling, especially in the supply side. But a year removed from that, now we have some concrete data and a little bit more time to put together a strategy for that. So what are some things that you've learned in that in between time to better address what you're seeing the market show?
Yeah, the whole year, or the last, that first year of COVID was just shell shock. I think it was a scramble for a lot of retailers to try to understand. Some didn't have an e-commerce present. Some displayed ads. Some were, very already, had a jump start or head start. Looking into things like Instacart and different, different retail strategies. I mean, when we talk about bidding for position, online with different retailers and what goes into that, and making sure that you have the right, pictures up there and the right descriptions. And then, there's always with all the varietals that we do have out there, and with apples, it's such a commodity. It's hard to, when we talk about one of our proprietary apples, Opal, how is it perceived? Is it the right description? And some of the retailers went rogue, some of them didn't. So really trying to understand how we play in the digital space, and being able to have now I feel like it's kind of a second chance, with this new, with COVID, kind of the second wave or third wave of COVID. I think we're starting to refine those strategies, refine how we're going to market digitally through the e-commerce world. And so, the data, being able to really understand the e-commerce shopper and how they're evolving, that's something that's going to be, telling. And so how we're trying to do that is just like this. We're doing the research, we're putting into time, we're understanding the messaging, making sure that, those little points, or the very limited time we have for people, the click through or clicking through, making sure that we're getting the end consumer's attention, and that we're partnering up with retailers at a level that's helping their e-commerce strategy.
Well,
Joe, you said one of my favorite phrases, and that's display and pray. And I use that a lot when talking about produce and how we just throw something on the shelf and hope that consumers notice it. And we've taken that to another level with online shopping, because we're allowing the retailer, as marketers, as growers, shippers, we're allowing the retailer to manage the online shopping experience a lot unmanaged by us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that, as marketers and as growers, shippers start to work on that and realize that they can't just display and pray online, it's going to help a lot and allow us to get more fruits and vegetables into people's Instacart carts.
Yeah, and Tom, it's interesting. We have our go-to-market strategy. At the core of that has always been in-store promotions, in-store POS, and so what can we do at the point of purchase? And that's changed. With e-commerce, we've gotten to a position where, on Instagram, you could buy all the necessities, from your local retailer for a recipe that an influencer is putting on there. So what is center store now, or not less center store, but where is that, point of sale? It's all over the place. I mean, and digitally makes it that much more difficult for, and shippers come in all shapes and sizes, right? There's big shippers and small shippers out there, but really trying to get that information out there and partner up with retailers and understand how we can make our marketing dollars go the furthest. That's our biggest, the biggest headache, and really the biggest challenge that we face is, with a limited budget, and how do we get the best bang for our buck, and what category partners, and it's found with this data, who is the core shopper. And I think that changes. I mean, it changed from every different commodity. They're a little bit different, and that old, the display and pray, like you're talking about, or the old, it's the woman is the head of the household. Well, not today. It is changing, and how do we reach, a broader range, but not break the budget? So that's, really what we're trying to investigate. Social media used to be something that, we kind of saw as a kind of a last piece. Well, today it's right there. It could be, in your core strategy. So there's a lot of things, digital targeting, and a lot of different aspects that we're bringing into our full strategy. And now we've had to amplify that strategy. It's not, traditional advertisement is kind of taking a back seat in a lot of instances. So.
All right, well, why don't we wrap it up? The idea is to get this data out and make better decisions, and that's what I think we're doing as we talk through these issues. So I appreciate your time, Joe, and Cara and Tom, as always, and look forward to seeing you next episode of our series, Online Produce Shopping, The Path Forward.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg.